Welcome to our U.S. Briefing show, where we dive into the whirlwind of global and domestic events shaping our world today. Let's start with a bit of international drama that feels more like a blockbuster movie plot than real life. Picture this: drones flying, missiles launching, and the U.S. stepping in like the hero in the final act. Recent tensions have skyrocketed between Iran and Israel, with the U.S. playing a pivotal role in defending its ally, Israel, from Iran's explosive drones. President Biden's been on the phone, making ironclad commitments and showing the world that when it comes to friends, the U.S. doesn't play around. This all sounds like a mix of diplomacy and action movie heroics, doesn't it? But wait, there's more. Back on home turf, political chess moves are being made. Former President Trump, known for his unpredictable endorsements, has thrown his support behind Dave McCormick for the Pennsylvania U.S. Senate race. This move has everyone's eyebrows raised, considering McCormick was once on Trump's critique list. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida is cozying up with the U.S., reinforcing the U.S.-Japan alliance against a backdrop of concerns over China's assertiveness. It's like a global game of risk, with alliances and strategies playing out in real time. And then there's the shift in the political landscape over abortion rights. Carrie Lake, once a hardliner, is now singing a slightly different tune, aiming to resonate with a broader audience by advocating for exceptions and proposing a baby bonus. On the international front, Iran's bold attack on Israel and the U.S.'s stern stance against it, alongside the nuanced U.S.-China relations, reflect the complex dance of diplomacy, security, and domestic politics. It's a world where the lines between local and global issues blur, showing us just how interconnected we all are. So, as we navigate through these turbulent waters of geopolitics, domestic shifts, and international alliances, it's clear the stakes are high, and the game is complex. Stay tuned for more details on these unfolding stories. Please keep watching for the detailed content. In a world where geopolitical tensions continue to simmer, the United States has remained at the forefront of international security concerns, particularly in its unwavering support for allies and strategic positioning against adversaries. This narrative was vividly illustrated in recent events involving Iran, Israel, and key U.S. alliances in Asia, as well as in the political maneuvers within the U.S. itself. From the pages of the South China Morning Post, a significant development emerged as U.S. forces, under the directive of President Joe Biden, took decisive action to neutralize a direct threat to Israel. Following an audacious move by Iran, which launched explosive-laden drones towards Israel, the U.S. military intervened, successfully downing these drones. This incident not only underscored the volatile nature of Iran-Israel relations but also highlighted the U.S.'s steadfast commitment to Israel's security. President Biden, in a display of solidarity, condemned Iran's aggressive actions and engaged in a dialogue with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, reaffirming the U.S.'s ironclad commitment to Israel's defense. This episode unfolded against a backdrop of heightened tensions, as Iran sought retaliation for a suspected Israeli strike on an Iranian consular building in Syria, an attack that claimed the lives of several, including 2 senior Iranian generals. Meanwhile, the political landscape within the United States saw former President Donald Trump making a notable endorsement in the Pennsylvania U.S. Senate race, as reported by the Washington Post. Trump threw his support behind Dave McCormick, a candidate he had once criticized, in a move that underscores the dynamic and often unpredictable nature of political alliances. McCormick, the former CEO of a hedge fund and now the uncontested GOP nominee, is poised to challenge Democratic Senator Bob Casey in what is anticipated to be a fiercely competitive and costly Senate contest. This race is not just about Pennsylvania, it's a battleground that could tilt the balance of power in the U.S. Senate. Trump's endorsement, coupled with his commentary on the recent strike by Iran against Israel, reflects the intertwining of domestic politics and international affairs, as well as the enduring influence of former leaders on current political narratives. Across the Pacific, Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida made a strategic visit to Washington, as detailed by Nikkei Asia. This visit was not merely a diplomatic formality but a deliberate effort to bolster the U.S.-Japan alliance amidst growing concerns over China's assertiveness in the South China Sea. Kishida's engagement in trilateral talks with the U.S. and the Philippines, and his address to Congress, were clear indicators of Japan's commitment to playing a more significant role in maintaining the international order. President Biden's reaffirmation of the U.S.'s ironclad defense commitments to Japan and the Philippines further solidified this tripartite alliance. Kishida's visit emphasized the importance of providing support and options for Southeast Asian countries, showcasing Japan's readiness to stand alongside the U.S. in countering coercion and promoting stability in the region. These narratives, spanning from the Middle East to Asia and the domestic political arena in the U.S., paint a picture of a world in flux, where alliances are crucial, and the stakes are high. Whether it's defending an ally from external aggression, endorsing a political candidate to influence domestic policy and international posture, or strengthening regional alliances to counterbalance emerging threats, the United States continues to play a pivotal role on the global stage. Through these actions and engagements, the U.S. not only reaffirms its commitments to allies but also navigates the complex web of international relations in pursuit of stability and order. In the shifting sands of Arizona politics, Kari Lake, a Republican Senate candidate, has made a notable pivot on the contentious issue of abortion, as reported by The Washington Post. Initially, Lake had positioned herself as a staunch opponent of abortion, labeling it the ultimate sin and lauding an Arizona law that nearly eradicated the procedure altogether. This hardline stance resonated with a segment of the electorate, aligning with the broader GOP narrative on the matter. However, the political landscape is as dynamic as it is unpredictable. Following a ruling by the state Supreme Court that allowed the near-total abortion ban to be enforceable, Lake's tone and stance underwent a significant transformation. She acknowledged that the law was out of step with Arizonans, signaling a departure from her earlier views. Lake's recalibration on abortion includes advocating for exceptions in cases of rape, incest, or when the pregnant person's life is in danger. Moreover, she has proposed innovative solutions like a baby bonus, tax incentives for married couples who have children, aiming to navigate the complex terrain of reproductive rights in a way that resonates with a broader spectrum of voters. This evolution underscores the intricate dance Republican candidates like Lake must perform to align with the electorate's shifting attitudes on such polarizing issues. Across the globe, tensions escalated as Iran launched a significant offensive against Israel, deploying a fleet of missiles and over 100 unmanned drones, as detailed by The Washington Post. This audacious attack placed the Israeli military on high alert and threatened to exacerbate the volatility in an already unstable region. Israel's advanced air and missile defense systems were promptly mobilized, intercepting the threats and casting a series of loud booms over Jerusalem. The sound of air raid sirens became a harrowing backdrop for the country, highlighting the perpetual state of readiness in which these nations exist amidst ongoing conflicts. Meanwhile, the South China Morning Post sheds light on the increasingly fraught relationship between the United States and China. The narrative of competition and deep-seated mistrust towards China has dominated the discourse, overshadowing potential avenues for cooperation. This entrenched Sinophobia within the U.S. is not only misguiding policy and public perception but is also diverting attention from pressing domestic issues that plague the nation. Racial, religious, and socioeconomic disparities continue to widen, yet the obsession with China's rise and the perceived threat it poses distract from these critical challenges. The call for a more balanced and nuanced assessment of China is growing louder, urging the U.S. to recalibrate its focus towards addressing its internal divides and contributing more constructively to global challenges. The juxtaposition of these narratives, from the evolving political strategies within the United States to the international tensions bristling with potential for conflict, paints a vivid picture of a world in flux. Kari Lake's shift on abortion rights within Arizona's political landscape, Iran's bold assault on Israel, and the complex dynamics of U.S.-China relations all reflect the broader themes of adaptation, conflict, and the urgent need for reevaluation that define our current global and domestic contexts. As these stories unfold, they invite reflection on the paths forward, both within nations and on the international stage, highlighting the interconnectedness of our challenges and the necessity for nuanced, informed approaches to navigate them. In a world increasingly interconnected, the ripples of conflict in one region can stir deep concerns in seemingly distant corners of the globe. Recent events have drawn sharp condemnations and raised alarms from world leaders to the common populace across continents, highlighting the intricate web of geopolitical concerns that bind us all. From the heart of Europe, Deutsche Welle reports a chorus of disapproval from world leaders, including the powerhouses of the US, UK, France, and Germany, against Iran's drone and missile attack on Israel. This aggressive move, purportedly in retaliation for an airstrike on Iran's embassy in Syria, has not only escalated tensions in the Middle East but also stoked fears of a broader conflict erupting. The United States, under President Joe Biden, has been quick to pledge its unwavering support for Israel's defense, promising a united diplomatic response with G7 leaders to address the crisis. However, Iran's stern warning to the U.S. through its mission to the United Nations, cautioning against direct involvement, suggests a complex chess game of international diplomacy and brinkmanship. Meanwhile, the South China Morning Post brings to light a fascinating and somewhat unexpected perspective from Southeast Asia. A survey conducted by the ISEAS Yusof Ishaq Institute's ASEAN Studies Center reveals that the Israel-Gaza conflict has surged to the forefront of geopolitical concerns in the region, even surpassing the contentious South China Sea dispute. This might come as a surprise to some, considering the geographical distance and the Southeast Asian region's own set of pressing security challenges. Yet, it is precisely the global nature of security in our times that makes the Gaza conflict a paramount concern, especially in Muslim-majority countries within Southeast Asia such as Brunei, Indonesia, and Malaysia. A significant portion of respondents, 41.8%, expressed their belief that Israel's actions in Gaza were excessive, with a notable 46.2% agreement from Singaporeans. The survey sheds light on deeper fears lurking beneath the surface. The specter of extremism looms large, with many worried that the prolonged Israel-Gaza conflict might serve as a fertile ground for terrorist organizations to radicalize individuals. This is not just a theoretical concern but a palpable fear that has implications for domestic social cohesion, particularly in countries like Thailand where over 30% of respondents rank this as their top concern. Beyond the immediate humanitarian crisis, the potential for a protracted conflict to undermine social harmony and security in distant lands underscores the interconnected nature of today's world. Respondents across Southeast Asia are calling for the international community to prioritize efforts towards a ceasefire and providing humanitarian aid. This collective sentiment reflects a broader desire for peace and stability, not just in their immediate neighborhood but across the globe. The Israel-Gaza conflict, through the lens of Southeast Asian concerns, illustrates how deeply entwined our fates are, regardless of distance or direct involvement. As tensions simmer and the world watches with bated breath, the unfolding situation serves as a stark reminder of the intricate tapestry of global geopolitics. The voices from Europe and Southeast Asia, though coming from different contexts and perspectives, converge on a common theme: the urgent need for a diplomatic resolution and a concerted effort to address the humanitarian crisis. In a world fraught with conflicts and divisions, these calls for unity and peace resonate more powerfully than ever. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.